let's go ahead and watch Kim Iverson together, so that way she can explain this whole situation to us. Because I'm just as confused as a lot of people out there. Because let's just watch it.
Well, you may have seen the protests and the insane images that are coming out of LA. And what is happening, people are protesting ICE raids that started on Friday and they have not let up. So, what started as small protests have quickly exploded into full blown chaos. But what's important to think about isn't so much the protests and what's happening, but what the security state plans to do as a result of them. Okay, so what sparked these protests? ICE launched a wave of large-scale raids across LA, targeting mostly Latino neighborhoods and hitting places like Home Depot and a bunch of clothing warehouses in the fashion district in downtown LA. This started on Friday, and on just the first day, they arrested 44 undocumented immigrants. By the end of the weekend, that number had jumped to 118. But on Friday, one of the people the police took into custody was David Huerta, a major labor union leader in California. Let me actually grab an image of this guy for you so you can actually see who we're talking about, because his arrest really is what lit the match here. So this is David Huerta. He is
I'm kind of getting the same vibe here with George Floyd's situation. You know, even though a lot of black men were unalive by the cops, for some reason that didn't really pick up the fuse until the unalive of George Floyd. And now this guy, a lot of Mexicans have been arrested and sent back to Mexico that are undocumented. But for some reason, again, one man arrest set off a whole entire riot in LA.
like I said, a major labor union leader in California, and his arrest sparked these protests. Now, he's a U.S. citizen. His grandparents came here from Mexico to work the fields. His dad was a teamster. He spent decades fighting for workers and immigration rights. So why was he arrested? People want to know, right? Well, according to federal authorities, it wasn't about immigration status. They're claiming Huerta interfered with federal agents during one of the raids, that he blocked a federal vehicle while agents were executing a judicial warrant. He's now facing charges for impeding a federal officer, and he's sitting in the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown LA waiting for arraignment. His arrest was the match that lit the fire. So
So that's funny. It's not even it wasn't even somebody who's undocumented that set this whole thing off. It was somebody who is documented. You see what? That's what I'm saying. Something is not right with this whole situation, bro.
here's how it's played out since. The ICE raid started early in the morning on Friday, June 6th. Protests broke out almost immediately, especially downtown in the fashion district. Tensions rose really fast. Police responded with tear gas, pepper spray, flashbangs to break up the crowds. Then came the property damage. Protesters smashed windows, they slashed tires, they spray painted anti-ICE messages on Waymo's self-driving cars, some of which were later torched. Police cruisers were pelted with rocks and even electric scooters. A cop car was set on fire on the 101 freeway, which got completely blocked off. By Saturday, the protests spread fast to other neighborhoods like Paramount and Compton, which are both south of downtown. These were fueled by rumors that more ICE raids were coming. Things got more intense. Protesters threw rocks and Molotov cocktails. They set up barricades. They lit trash bins on fire. Police fired back with rubber bullets and smoke bombs. People on both sides got hurt. Several officers were hit with projectiles, and multiple journalists were pelted with rubber bullets by the police. Even one needed surgery after being struck. Downtown, businesses took a serious beating. Storefronts.
See, what I'm trying to figure out is what do they like? What do they expect to achieve from this? Because you're doing the opposite of what you want. I understand that ICE is somebody that you hate, but what gives you the right to destroy a city because you don't appreciate the fact that people who are undocumented have come into this country illegally? I mean, seriously, imagine if Palestinian protesters decided to start attacking Israelis on the street everywhere that they see them. Do you honestly think that would benefit the Palestinians? No. So What is the point of this? Because you're doing is literally making the whole situation worse for yourself.
Were smashed, looted, and covered in graffiti. Fires were set all over. The scene was out of control. So that night, President Trump ordered 2,000 National Guard troops into LA, completely ignoring objections from California Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass. And you know what? I agree with them. Yeah. The president has every right to secure the border. That's his job. But using military force against U.S. citizens in American cities without the governor's consent, think about that. The president just bypassed local leadership and dropped troops into an American city. That's not law and order. That's federal overreach on steroids. Now, maybe you agree with it now when it's done to crazy liberal LA by President Trump, but are you going to agree with it when it's President AOC sending in the troops to quell unrest in Texas or Idaho?
Or are you going to agree with it when the president sends them during the Palestinian protest? This is a slippery slope in which it's going to be a bad, slippery slope.
I didn't think so. This crosses a dangerous line. We spoke out when Democrats wanted to send troops after January 6th, and now we have to hold that same line here. Just because the target is different doesn't mean the principle changes. Okay, so by Sunday, the National Guard did roll in. They took positions at key spots like the Metropolitan Detention Center and federal buildings. But if the goal was to calm things down, it didn't work at all. The protests kept going and more clashes, more destruction. We actually saw most of the cop cars set on fire after the National Guard troops showed up. So what was the point of even sending them in? Vandalism continued throughout the city, even with National Guard troops there. So it really just kind of inflamed tensions more than anything. And now here we are. As of right now, the protests are still happening. And the deeper story here isn't just about the immigration raids. It's about how quickly our government reaches for military force to quell protests, how freedom gets pushed aside when the people in power decide it's justified, and even scarier, how easily it is to convince the populace that surveillance and control tactics are for our own safety. Now, I want to show you a variety of things that have triggered this response, this emotional response from people to say, yes, 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 give me more surveillance and control and march in the military. I want my freedoms restricted. They see this. They've seen images. Now, this is weird, right? You've got all of these people in LA waving Mexican flags or some, looks like Argentinian flags there. There's various different Latin American flags being waved. And it's odd because these protesters are protesting not being deported, meaning, or not having other people deported, meaning they want to remain in America. So you would think the logical thing to do would be to wave American flags around and to be like, hey, we love America, we're American, and we want to be in America. But instead, they were waving around mostly Mexican flags and flags of various different Latin American countries. And this triggered on social media various people saying this is proof of an invasion. This is an insurrection. Liberals have allowed this invasion in.
Now, yes, if you are somebody who is fighting to stay in America, I mean, it makes sense that you would be flying the flag of America to say, hey, we love this country and we don't want to go back to Mexico. But instead, you are flying the flag of a country that you don't want to go back to. It just doesn't make any sense. With that being said, you know, there are also a special group of people out there who are also flying, you know, a foreign flag. You know what I mean? Even though they claim to be for the benefit of Americans. So what I'm trying to say is if you're going to be mad at the protester or the riot that's going on in LA and you're going to be mad about the fact that they are flying, you know, a Mexican flag of other country flags, okay, what about the people who are ruling you? What about the people who are making executive decisions? What about the people who are making decisions that is going to impact your life? What about those guys? Because right now, if I was to show you videos of the White House, right, you will start seeing a lot of foreign, well, not a lot of foreign flag. You will start seeing a very specific foreign flag being flown around. So what about those guys? Is anybody going to stop them? Is anybody going to say, hey, What's going on here? Are you America first or are you this foreign country first? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you want to be mad at the Mexicans for flying the Mexican flag, you should also be mad at your leaders for flying the Israeli flag.
How have we allowed this to happen? Look, they're burning American flags, they're burning American property, and they're waving around foreign flags. And yeah, the optics on this are awful. One should ask the question, was there something behind the passing out of these flags? Where did people get these flags and suddenly start waving them around in a protest? I don't have an American flag or any other flag, to be honest with you, hanging around my house like this to show up at a protest with. So where did these flags come from? I think that's a question all of us should be asking. Were they provided these flags? Who provided them these flags? Was it so that it could be staged as, hey, look at this invasion, we have to do something about it? And what is that something we're going to do about it? Oh, we're going to rip away your freedoms as we surveil you, as we monitor you, as we do a bunch of different tactics in the name of public safety, right?
I'm gonna go ahead and just stop it right there. I'm gonna leave her link in the bottom if you want to watch the rest of that video, so that way you can learn a little bit more about the riot that's going on. But one thing that I will say is, this is also another opportunity that these people are going to use to put more restrictions on speech, infringe upon our right, and also, surveil us even more. So this is gonna be a slippery slope. This is only the beginning. If you've seen my previous videos, I have talked about the fact that when you start to notice things, guess what? The law becomes even harsher. And people are noticing things. So any incident that happened, understand that the government is going to use this to push a certain agenda. Just understand that. The riot that's going on in LA right now is only the beginning of something bigger. But anyways, if you made it this far, man, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. All I gotta say is, when is America gonna wake up?